The air was thick with the scent of sizzling steaks and corn on the cob, mingling with the sweet tang of summer dusk in Willow Creek, a quiet riverside hamlet nestled in Oregon's rolling hills. It was July 4th, 2024, and my buddies were sprawled across my deck, laughing over cold sodas while kids darted through the grass, their shrieks bouncing off the water. My old Bluetooth speaker hummed classic rock from the porch of my riverside cabin, a place I'd called home for years. The fire pit crackled, sending sparks dancing into the twilight. It was one of those nights you dream about friends, food, and the river's gentle ripple. But then headlights sliced through the dusk, sharp as a blade. One police cruiser, then another, then a third. I stood frozen, tongs in hand, as red and blue lights bounced off the water. Neighbors peeked from their yards, murmurs spreading like wildfire. And there she was, Marlene, the HOA president, standing tall in her pressed linen jacket, arms crossed, her smirk sharp enough to cut glass. "That's him," she declared, pointing at me, then my cabin. "He's violating HOA rules, disturbing the peace, and hosting an illegal gathering." Her voice carried over the crowd, smug and final. The officers crunched up my gravel path, hands hovering near their belts. The music faded. The kids stopped running. All I heard was my pulse hammering and the gravel under those boots. Then, out of my cabin, a plate of ribs in hand, stepped Mayor Clara Hensley herself. The crowd gasped. Marlene's jaw twitched, her confidence flickering like a bad bulb. The mayor wiped her hands on a napkin, gave the officers a nod, and every eye locked on her. I stood there, tongs still dangling, wondering what the hell was about to unfold. Let me back up. I'm Ethan, just a guy who bought this cabin a decade ago, long before the HOA sank its claws into Willow Creek. It was my sanctuary, a place to grill, fish, and escape the city grind. But when Marlene took over the HOA, she turned our quiet riverside into her personal fiefdom. Every deck had to be stained the same shade of cedar. No fishing gear left out. No gatherings over 6 people without her written blessing. It wasn't about community, it was about control. I tried to play nice. When I slipped flyers into mailboxes for the barbecue, I thought it was harmless. Riverside Cookout, July 4th. Bring a dish, bring your kids, let's celebrate together. I even invited Marlene, figuring she'd scoff, but maybe soften. My goal was simple, spread a little joy. But to Marlene, it was mutiny. 2 days before the event, she stormed up my driveway, waving my flyer like it was a wanted poster. "This violates Section 12C, she snapped. "Unauthorized gatherings cause chaos, trash, and trouble." I chuckled. "Marlene, it's just a cookout." Her eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." The barbecue started like a dream. Neighbors brought potato salad and pies. Kids splashed in the shallows. Even old Mr. Jenkins, who usually kept to himself, showed up with a thermos of lemonade. We swapped stories, toasted marshmallows, and for a moment, I felt proud this cabin was a heartbeat of community. Then Marlene appeared at the edge of my yard, glaring like laughter was a crime. I waved, hoping to show her this was just neighbors being neighbors. She spun on her heel and vanished. Minutes later, those cruisers rolled in. So there I was, tongs shaking, cops on one side, Mayor Clara on the other. Marlene, smug as ever, demanded they shut it down. The mayor raised an eyebrow. "Marlene, you called the police over a barbecue?" Her voice was calm, but cut like a knife. Marlene puffed up. "This is a violation of community guidelines. He's flouting the rules we all agreed to." Clara shook her head. "Guidelines aren't laws, and this isn't a police matter." The crowd murmured agreement. The officers, clearly uncomfortable, confirmed no crime had occurred. Marlene's face twisted, and she stormed off, but not before shooting me a look that promised war. The night ended with laughter and seconds on ribs, but I knew Marlene wasn't done. Days later, she called an emergency HOA meeting. I walked into the community center, the air heavy with stale coffee and tension. Marlene sat at the head of the table, her binder of bylaws thicker than a phone book. "Ethan's actions are a disgrace," she declared, listing supposed violations: noise, parking, unruly guests. I stood firm. "My cabin predates your HOA. Your rules don't apply." Clara walked in, producing county records proving my property was grandfathered. The board rescinded the fines, but Marlene's eyes burned with fury. "This isn't over," she hissed. I didn't back down. I helped neighbors fix fences, shared meals, and planned a river day, clean up no party, just folks picking up trash and planting trees. Marlene showed up with a tow truck, targeting Mrs. Larson's wheelchair van for parking an inch on the grass. I stepped in front of the truck, heart pounding. "Give us a minute to move it." The driver hesitated, but Marlene barked, "Lift it." Just then, Clara's SUV screeched in. "Drop that van," she roared. The tow truck backed off, and Marlene fled, humiliated again. But she didn't stop. Flyers appeared in mailboxes, accusing me of unsafe activities and illegal alcohol distribution. Then came a chilling photo of me on my porch, captioned, "Dangerous man, unfit neighbor." Whispers followed me in town. Some neighbors stood by me, but others bought her lies. At another HOA meeting, she presented grainy photos trash bags we'd cleaned up, a neighbor's beer bottle twisting them into evidence. Mrs. Larson stood, cane steady. "I saw Ethan build community, not chaos." Her grandson added, "He saved our van." The crowd cheered, and Clara exposed Marlene's fake state inspectors. The board voted her out, her power crumbling as she stormed away. That night, I thought it was over. Then I woke to spray paint on my railing. "Get out." Mrs. Larson's garden was smashed, and my friend Sarah's tires were slashed. Marlene, from jail, was pulling strings. Her letters spread conspiracies, claiming I was a threat. Then my dock sawed clean. Floating in pieces appeared with a message on the boathouse. "If Marlene falls, everyone falls." The town was furious. Clara called a public meeting by the river. I spoke, voice shaking but firm. Marlene thought kindness was weakness. She was wrong. "We're stronger together." The crowd roared, but a man in a gray hoodie watched from the trees, vanishing when I looked. Marlene's final move came at dusk. Trucks rolled in, led by her SUV. She stepped out, leather-clad, with outsiders wielding bats and crowbars. "Tear it down," she shouted. They smashed my mailbox, shattered my window. I blocked the porch, shouting, "This is my home." Sirens wailed. Clara and the police stormed in. "You're under arrest," Clara told Marlene as officers cuffed her. Her mob scattered, and she screamed about order as they dragged her away. Weeks later, Marlene's trial exposed her crimes: fraud, vandalism, conspiracy. She sat small in court, her pride broken. Neighbors rebuilt my dock, painted murals over her threats. Sarah's students drew thank you cards. Mrs. Larson shared tea and stories. The river sparkled, and I realized Marlene's hate had united us. Kindness had won, but scars remain in my porch, in our hearts. They're proof we survived. As I stood on my dock, fishing rod in hand, kids laughing nearby, I knew peace was ours again. So, where are you reading this from? What would you have done in my shoes? Fought Marlene's rules, or walked away? Should kindness always come first, even when it risks everything? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories of real people facing real fights. Let's keep this conversation going.